Prince Siddhartha lived a life untouched by the harsh realities of the world. Sheltered from the sun's searing touch and humanity's weeping scars, he existed in a symphony of pleasures orchestrated by his loving father, King Suddhodana. Every desire, every whim was met with a flourish, a testament to the king's desperate attempt to shield his son from the inevitabilities of life, old age, sickness, and death. Siddhartha, unaware of the world beyond the palace walls, danced merrily to the melody of ignorance. He bathed in lotus-scented pools, feasted on ambrosial delicacies, and indulged in the company of the most exquisite dancers. His existence was a canvas painted with vibrant hues of joy, unaware of the lurking shadows of sorrow at the fringes. One fateful day, Siddhartha, accompanied by his charioteer Channa, ventured beyond the confines of the palace for the first time. 4 encounters on that fateful journey shattered the delicate illusion of his perfect world. The first sight that deeply impacted Siddhartha was witnessing an elderly person. Until that moment, Siddhartha had lived a sheltered life within the walls of the palace, shielded from the harsh realities of aging. Seeing an old person, frail and feeble, made Siddhartha confront the inevitability of growing old, the deterioration of the body, and the transient nature of youth and beauty. This realization stirred a profound questioning about the nature of life and the meaning of existence. The second sight that left an indelible mark on Siddhartha was witnessing a woman suffering from illness. In the palace, he had been shielded from the realities of physical afflictions. Seeing someone in the grip of sickness brought home the awareness of human vulnerability, the fragility of the body, and the inherent suffering that accompanies illness. This encounter further intensified Siddhartha's contemplation on the nature of suffering and the impermanence of bodily well-being. The third sight that deeply moved Siddhartha was witnessing a funeral procession. The stark reality of death confronted him as he observed mourners grieving the loss of a loved one. The sight of death, the cessation of life, and the grief that accompanies it heightened Siddhartha's awareness of the impermanence of existence. He realized that death is an inevitable part of the human experience, and it prompted him to reflect on the deeper meaning of life and the quest for something beyond the cycle of birth and death. The fourth sight, which proved to be a turning point for Siddhartha, was encountering a wandering ascetic or monk. This ascetic, detached from worldly pursuits and possessions, radiated an aura of calmness and tranquility. Siddhartha was struck by the contrast between the ascetic's serene demeanor and the suffering he had witnessed in the world. This sight ignited a spark within Siddhartha, inspiring him to contemplate the possibility of finding a path to liberation from the suffering he had observed. These encounters tore a hole his sheltered life. These encounters were not simply events, they were awakenings. The symphony of pleasure discordantly shifted into a concerto of existential questions. The carefree prince was engulfed by an unfamiliar emotion, dukkha, the all-encompassing suffering inherent in human existence. The once untroubled waters of his mind were now a tempestuous sea. Sleep ceased to offer solace. The gilded cage of the palace felt asphyxiating. The laughter of dancers echoed hollowly in his ears. Siddhartha yearned for answers, for a way to transcend the pervasive dukkha. He devoured every scripture, seeking whispers of wisdom in their ancient tongues. Yet the words remained mere ink on parchment, failing to quench the fire in his soul. Torn between duty and desperation, Siddhartha wrestled with an agonizing choice. His father, driven by paternal fear, desperately tried to distract him with ever grander festivities, even arranging his marriage to the beautiful girl named Yasodhara. Yet, Siddhartha's gaze remained fixed on the horizon, yearning for a path beyond the gilded walls. One moonlit night, a decision crystallized within him. Driven by an irresistible force, he donned the coarse robes of an ascetic, cut off his princely locks, and rode away on his faithful steed Kanthaka. He left behind his loving wife, his sleeping son, and the life he knew, stepping into the vast unknown in search of a path to liberation. Undeterred by the emotional turmoil, Siddhartha ventured into the wilderness, leaving behind his royal attire and cutting his hair as a symbol of renunciation. Siddhartha's journey was arduous. He traversed scorching deserts, endured the lashing rain, and slept under starlit skies. He sought guidance from renowned teachers, mastering every yoga practice and asceticism known to man. Yet the fire of misery continued to burn, albeit a little dimmer. He sought out renowned spiritual teachers and engaged in rigorous ascetic practices, subjecting himself to extreme physical austerities. For 6 years, Siddhartha immersed himself in the disciplines of self-mortification, hoping to attain enlightenment through denial of the body's needs. However, despite his unwavering commitment, Siddhartha found that extreme asceticism did not lead to the liberation he sought. Emaciated and weak, he realized that torturing the body did not bring clarity to the mind. He abandoned the path of self-mortification, recognizing it as an extreme and unsustainable approach to spiritual awakening. Siddhartha's journey was arduous. He traversed scorching deserts, endured the lashing rain, and slept under starlit skies. He sought guidance from renowned teachers, mastering every yoga practice and asceticism known to man. Yet, the fire of misery continued to burn, albeit a little dimmer. Exhausted, emaciated, and disillusioned, Siddhartha collapsed beneath a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. On the verge of abandoning his quest, he vowed not to rise until he attained enlightenment. For 6 days and 6 nights, he battled the demons of doubt and delusion. He wrestled with Mara, the embodiment of worldly temptations, who offered him kingdoms and pleasures in exchange for abandoning his pursuit. Siddhartha then turned to a new path, one of balanced moderation and mindful awareness. He decided to meditate under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he had attained enlightenment. This marked the beginning of an intense internal journey, as Siddhartha faced the demons of his own mind and the temptations of Mara, the embodiment of desire and delusion. In the throes of his meditation, Siddhartha experienced a series of profound realizations, culminating in the dawn of enlightenment. Under the Bodhi tree, he attained nirvana, the ultimate liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Siddhartha, now the Buddha, the awakened one, had discovered the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, a guide to end suffering and attain enlightenment. The Buddha's enlightenment marked not only a personal triumph, but the birth of a spiritual revolution. His teachings encompassed in the Dharma, the universal law of cause and effect, the wheel of life and liberation which resonated with seekers across time and space. The essence of his wisdom was encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths: the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path to the end of suffering. The Buddha, now a radiant beacon of compassion and wisdom, spent the remaining years of his life sharing his insights with a diverse array of disciples. His teachings emphasized the impermanence of life, the interconnectedness of all beings, and the potential for every individual to attain enlightenment. The journey that began in the opulence of a royal palace had led Siddhartha to the profound realization that true wealth lay in the treasures of the mind. His transformation from a discontented prince to an enlightened teacher underscored the universal truth that transcends time and culture. The path to liberation lies in understanding the nature of suffering and cultivating mindfulness and compassion. The legacy of the Buddha continues to illuminate the spiritual landscape, offering a timeless guide for those seeking meaning and purpose. The story of Siddhartha's journey from a prince to a Buddha serves as a reminder that, regardless of our backgrounds or circumstances, the potential for enlightenment resides within each of us. It is a journey of self-discovery, a pilgrimage from the illusions of the world to the profound wisdom that transcends it.